Education in agriculture cannot be dealt one level at a time. We have to deal with all levels at the same time in order to be able to make sense of what kind of capacity is being generated in a country. That's number one. The second point is that it cannot be any more about the agriculture we knew in the past, where intensification of production is sufficient in itself as a criterion for success of agriculture. There's much more to it now, particularly given that agriculture contributes over 20% of the pollution in the world. And perhaps the largest spoiler of freshwater systems is agriculture. So when you begin to understand the importance of environmental services, particularly water, particularly the sustainability of productive systems, particularly biodiversity and its value, you begin to understand that agriculture is a field that is under tremendous threat. And therefore the productivity in terms of food is in itself insufficient as a criterion for success in agriculture. It is under this substance that I am really happy that this meeting has to produce something helpful in terms of looking at agriculture again. You cannot look at agriculture without looking at all the land use sectors. Land use sectors are very critical. Forestry, energy, water, environment. They are all extremely important if you're looking at agricultural education. No longer can a graduate just go out there and say, I know how to produce pigs, and I know how to produce maize and wheat, and what have you. They have to know also how to conserve the environment and how to make it work sustainably. So I have this powerful panel which I'll let themselves introduce. Let me start at this end.
Thank you very much. My name is Oohiokpehai. I work for the minister, and I'm in charge of nutrition and food processing. And I'm happy to be here to share with you those things you haven't talked about since morning.
Which ministry and which country? Yes.
Which ministry and which country, I'm told to tell you. Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria.
I'm Judith Lungu from Zambia. I'm Deputy Vice Chancellor of a new university, Lungu University. Thank you.
Agnes Mwang'ombe from University of Nairobi. I'm the principal for the College of Agriculture and Veterinary Sciences.
I was already introduced. AugustTemu from Tanzania, basically, but working with the World Agroforestry Center.
As
Deputy Director General.
And I am Lena Andersson-Eklund. I'm a geneticist in profession, but now acting as a Pro-Vice Chancellor of the Swedish University of Agricultural Sciences. We have forestry, agriculture, animal science, horticulture, and so on in the university. And I'm responsible for education at all levels, undergraduate and graduate in our university.
C'est professeur Douma. Donc je suis entomologiste, je travaille sur les insectes à l'université de Lena. Mais j'ai une autre casquette qui est la casquette politique. Je suis conseiller technique du ministre de l'enseignement supérieur et de la recherche scientifique du Niger. Donc je viens du Niger. Je profite avant de passer le micro pour remercier Anafe, parce que c'est la première fois que je visite un pays africain anglophone.
I put it to you, Professor Lungu. Natural education is wasting time, wasting natural resources, as long as we are training people and dumping them on the street. We are not doing our job. Should we continue to exist with graduates being poured on the street? Now, give us a little bit of how we can change that. As policymaker, I don't want to support your university anymore. Please.
Chair, Professor Temu. Tertiary education is wasting time and resources because we are graduating graduates onto the streets. How can we change that? And we're the Minister of Education. As an educationist in agriculture and a leader in academics at the Lungu University who believes that quality comes from well-educated and well-tailored education of our graduates, I would tell you that we are not wasting time. Maybe we need to rechannel the way we are producing our graduates. Our curriculums should be changed so that we do not have so many people on the street, those that graduate but go and start their own businesses or find some other way of initiating on their own to be useful citizens. So I would tell you that we are going to change the curriculum.
What are you changing? Exactly what requires change?
Well, there are so many levels. First of all, when we make our curricula, we look at them and we think they're really good curricula and that they should produce what we think should be the right outcomes for the jobs and for self-sustainability, for producing jobs themselves. But after going through a cycle, we find that our graduates maybe, as we heard this morning, we are being told they are half-baked and therefore not worthy of being employed or other things. So the change is how we do the curricula and the process, as well as how we implement it in the end so that we have the right people. So the process would be a very important area to start with. What is it that we are adding? And so I would think that right from the start, we must make sure that we involve. A university is not living on its own, it lives in a country, and therefore there must be national policies, national agriculture policies and directions that need to be incorporated in our curricula. So we start with the nation. And then as a university on its own, we also have the strategic direction. So we need to combine the two, and we know that as universities, at least our university, we make a strategic plan every 5 years. And we are right now in the process of making a strategic plan. And therefore, whatever curriculum that we are going to produce, we must keep in mind what we have decided is in line with the national government.
Okay, Omo is shaking her head like crazy. Please give her the microphone.
Thank you very much, Prof. I'm now on the other side of the divide. First, what I have learned thus far for the last 18 months, we need a visionary. You need a politician educator. Can you be one? We are always sitting and putting good things together, but we never put it out for use. If we are talking of training our graduates, have you ever thought that our primary schools, our secondary schools need help? Are we all happy with what we are seeing? And as a nutritionist and an agro-processor, I will start from my training and then my experience. My training says 1,000 days of life is very important. Have you ever heard 1,000 days of life? We've been battling since I joined the Minister for Education, Minister for Agriculture, Minister of Health and Women's Affairs to sit on one table and discuss school feeding. They've never been able to sit. But my minister had got up and gone to the Ministry of Health because he has the drivers. And we must say these things. It is not right for us to speak in our little windows and doors. We must speak integratedly to each other. If, like, for example, my country, we have a problem of Boko Haram. You all know what that is now. It is not their fault. We can only find solutions if we look at where they are coming from. They were not fed properly during the 1,000 days. Now we have frustrated adults.
More successful. Start there and then you can say whatever else you want to say.
No, I think we struggle with the same questions actually, as you do. But the last 10 years we worked in Europe in total. We worked a lot with the Bologna process, and I think that has contributed in one specific way, in a very good way, and that is to put the student focus on it. And we work now with learning objectives in all our curriculum development. And being able to discuss learning objectives with, if I got the question from the minister, for example, what are you actually doing? Then I could show them that this is what we are aiming for in a very, very obvious way. These are the objectives, and it's based on the students, what they shall achieve throughout the studies when they finish it.
Okay, one second, just hold on the microphone. What is the one important outcome of Bologna process?
The student, I have three.
Okay.
3 words.
Okay.
Actually, student focus, and mobility, and employability and innovation.
You heard all that. Now, are these Europeans much better than us at meeting and agree? Big question. They were able to agree in Bologna process. All EU is going one direction. They have a system. They exchange students. They are working wonders. Why is that possible there and not possible in our environment? Not funding. Because once upon a time, I studied at Makerere University in Uganda, and let me assure you it wasn't an issue of funding, because the way East Africa had agreed and worked in those years, you could study in any of the countries and you were supported by the system as such. But with the disintegration and the independence and moving to separate ways and new universities everywhere, everything changed and the opportunities for greater integration disappeared. Okay, my friend, I'll come back to all of you, don't worry. My friend, I want you to tell me, you heard from Uganda. One of the fundamental points made by Uganda is to train farmers, to educate farmers. Those who go to the college are actually farmers, people who really want to do farming. They are not students who want to learn about agriculture and then go teach somebody else to do farming. Would you do that?
I'll start from, you've talked about the 40 years. Well, we started interrogating that a little earlier, looking at our own curriculum. I must say it's about 7 years now. And we asked ourselves, what do we want to carry out reforms for? And we scanned the environment, we scanned the national environment. What are the operating policies? In Kenya, we are driven by 2030 vision. What do they require? We look at the continental policies guiding, and we have the CADEP process, where we have clearly stated we don't have the right capacity to deliver, or the right people. At the global, we have the MDG goals. Specifically for agriculture, in my college we've been focusing on the hunger and poverty, on the women empowerment, partnerships, and environmental sustainability. Then we have checked who are our stakeholders and the involvement in the curriculum reforms. We look at the private sector, public NGO, centers of excellency, and I must say in Nairobi we are lucky that we have a couple of international CG centers which are anchored, and we cultivate innovative partnerships to facilitate our reforms. In delivery of the curriculum, we look at the student and we look at the lecturer. Is the lecturer ready to deliver? And so we have carried out pedagogy training for the lecturers. Then we have interrogated the facilities which are to support the delivery of this curriculum.
Okay, you did all that.
Yes, I must
40
say,
years from now.
what we have done, in 7 years, we have managed to more than triple the student population in my university for agriculture students, from 800 to 2,400 in there. And it's an engaging process. We've just gone, like Judith has said, looking at the strategic plan. We've just gone through our strategic plan. We are at the level where we are doing the group from the managers. You meet and discuss what do we want to do. You move that process to the lecturers, you move it to the technicians, up to the cleaner who deals with the environment where you want to land. And in all this, I must say, this wide engagement, we get student attachments for internships, for industrial attachment, labs, key labs like CG centers open up to our students, whether they are undergraduate or postgraduate, and now we are looking out for partners for internships. Already we have started getting that, and so we have to continuously engage if we are to deliver. I think I would like to stop there. Thank you.
Yeah, she stopped on her own, you know. Very good. But I'm not letting you go because it is under your nose that you had all the technical training colleges in Kenya closed or promoted to become universities. Give us a good explanation how that works well for you, for the country.
Okay. One of the things there's been a lot of transition, and we have also benefited from that in terms of a science college becoming part of university, and name it. But at the same time, I like the model the principal from Makerere was discussing, because we have started absorbing the same in our university. We support those, the lower level. We are developing, as experts in curricular development, we are developing curricular programs, and then we mentor those lower level institutions and then move on. I can give the example of when the government withdrew artificial insemination. It was a big challenge for our country because of our dairy industry. Quickly, my college moved in there and started that course. We have devolved it to the lower level college, but we oversee. We even review the curricula for them. We are doing that in leather industry. We are doing that in one of these public health courses. So there is need to continue providing leadership. We've also started a short skills course for capacity building for seed industry. This one is a Pan-African program. As I'm talking now, it started on Monday. We ran a 1-week intense course for capacity building for private seed sector in sub-Saharan Africa. We are interacting with 25 countries in Africa. And I can tell you it's making a big change, because this is public-private partnership and also engaging with the national plant protection organizations which are charged with the responsibility of varietal releases, but they were never seeing eye to eye with the private sector.
Excellent. Now, Professor Lungu, you have a very interesting country which is actually much more urbanized than many people thought. Zambia is very highly urbanized. Am I right? More than 50%.
Sure.
In your projection of need for agriculture, do you see greater urbanization and therefore less people in rural areas, so less farming, less farmers in Zambia? And I would like all of you to think this way as well, and then you will get experience from Sweden. Let me know.
Well, if you're talking of just farmers, but in terms of economic, 80% of the people are supported by agriculture, even in the industry. So I don't know which exactly.
I have a real problem.
Farmers.
I have a real problem of this 80% because 80% of the people of the country are farmers and 80% are supporting 80%. When you look at Europe, for example, the number of farmers supporting the rest of the community is probably 5-7%? 2%. Two farmers for every 100 people in Sweden. 80 farmers for 100 people in Tanzania, my country, or elsewhere in Africa. That makes nonsense, doesn't it? Really. So why so many people? So the curriculum we are working on, is it workable for the future? The curriculum for smallholder producer?
Your first question was whether the number of farmers will reduce because we are very urbanized. And I'm saying that the number of farmers will go intensive, they will intensify. So in the final analysis, they may reduce. But for now, there are so many people in the rural areas, and those are the ones who are smallholder farmers. And maybe in our curricula, for example, we don't usually look at subsistence farmers. We're always teaching our students on commercial farming. That's where we probably get it wrong, and that's why the model we had from Makerere is quite wonderful. But your question was, are they going to be fewer? I think most of the people who are working in town are they are all fighting for land, and there'll still be many farmers, many smallholders.
Please move ahead. How have you made it in Europe like that?
Well, let me say, we only have 2-3% involved in primary production, but what we are claiming is that everyone is involved in agriculture. I mean, we have to redefine agriculture, really. The ones that we educate, those are the ones who in the long run will be guides when we have to act in all the global challenges, the big five that was mentioned here before. And those are the students that we reach. It's not the ones that will be farmers themselves. Of course, it's also some of them work in extension directly to farmers, but not all of them. We have the ecosystem services, we have the landscape architecture, we have the whole sustainable development and the challenges to meet. So that is where we find our students and how we educate them.
I want to go back to the policymaker there. Tell me, should we leave it in the hands of university professors to revise curriculum?
Thank you very much. We should give room to others. The university professors should be part of the engaging stakeholders because they would put forward the facts, what it is, how it should be, and the others, even the farmers themselves, should be able to be part of it so that they will give us practical experiences that will lead the drive.
I just want to add on, Professor Temu, that in our curriculum development or review, we always have stakeholder engagement, and that stakeholder engagement includes the farmers, the students themselves, the graduates who left, the industry, those who take up our graduates. So those are engaged right at the beginning with maybe a questionnaire to see what they think, what is missing, and so on. And then later on, the faculty will now try to put in the things that have been suggested as the right outcomes of our graduates. So we do engage them. And we engage them also at a later stage after the curriculum has been drafted. It goes back. We call them for a meeting in order for them to look at the drafted curricula. So it is not done in the high offices of upstairs. It's done with participation of stakeholders. It's an expensive process, so it takes longer.
Okay, they claim they're doing everything right. So the question of how does it arise? I bring it to the audience. You field questions for them, okay? You must have very many questions of how to do it. Is it the way we do it, or is it what we do, or what we end up with that doesn't work, or is it the delivery of the course, of the courses, or the curriculum? Because it's one thing to have one of the speakers here said, you can have the most sophisticated curriculum with everything that is needed around the world. If the delivery mechanism is wrong, it doesn't help. Giti, please.
Responsibility for, which is in many countries here in the region here, responsibility for Ministry of Agriculture, and then Ministry of Industry is doing something else, Ministry of Mining is doing something else, and when it's come to strategies, national strategy for science and technology and innovation, then I don't see any, so to say, cross-talking within the ministries and looking at agriculture as an engine for development, which has need to be harmonized in a way. And a very good, I must say, a very good forum for that is the regional economic communities within each sub-region. So through those institutions, in many of the sub-regions, you already have, so to say, institutions who are responsible for harmonizing higher education. So why not, so to say, involve them in these processes and come together with a kind of curricula for looking at agriculture as an engine for development.
Issue of harmonization I want to follow. Harmonization between the technical level education and university level education. How can this be achieved to enhance complementarity in these reforms that we are talking about? Because we do know these finally work as a team down on the ground, but nobody talks about it. Technical level education versus university education. How can we harmonize this?
About the question about the support of the universities and technical colleges, and I think it's all about getting some kind of qualification framework to make it clear the role of the universities and the role of the technical colleges, and then it is easier to collaborate actually if it's clear the roles. And one thing that I just need to mention here, we are talking about the needs of the industry and so on, and I just want to remind you that the students that we are preparing curriculum for now, they will be active for another 40 years maybe. So it's not the, I mean, they should be ready to work, but they should definitely be ready to develop themselves throughout a long career, and I think that is a very important part of the curriculum.
Donc c'est pour répondre monsieur là-bas, parce qu'il parlait au fait des étudiants qui ont étudié à l'université. C'est difficile qu'on leur demande de retourner à la terre, c'est-à-dire d'être leur propre employeur, si j'ai bien compris la question. En quelle sorte c'est comme ça? Moi je me dis, c'est ce que je disais tout de suite, il faut nécessairement qu'on aille vers le changement de nos mentalités. Nous dans nos pays, nous avons des pays où le taux d'alphabétisation est faible. Des pays où jusqu'à présent on ne croit pas encore, disons, au progrès technologique. Le paysan est toujours, disons, est toujours attaché à ses anciennes méthodes. Or, la politique actuellement engagée dans nos pays, c'est de moderniser notre agriculture. Parce que nous avons constaté que tout ce qui est fait actuellement n'a pas quand même atteint ses objectifs. Or, pour le faire, il faut que le producteur qui n'a pas été à l'école, il faut qu'il voit quelqu'un qui a été à l'école, qui a atteint un certain niveau, exercer, pour voir que ça marche, pour qu'il puisse se dire que ça marche. Tant que nous qui avons été à l'école ne donnons pas d'exemple, on ne peut pas changer les choses. Il faut nécessairement qu'on aille vers ça. Je vais vous raconter une petite histoire. Au niveau de la faculté des sciences, on a ouvert un parcours de formation pêche et aquaculture à ce niveau. Et c'était normalement une licence professionnelle. Donc quand on a demandé aux étudiants de s'inscrire, ils ont refusé. Mais pourquoi? Ils ont dit non, c'est pour être des pêcheurs. C'est tout, hein, c'est ça la raison. Or, nous, ce que nous avons envisagé, c'est de former des licenciés, des diplômés qui vont prendre en charge ce problème et montrer qu'on veut faire, et qu'il est possible de faire une entreprise dans ce domaine-là pour impulser cette affaire-là. Bon, voilà en quelque sorte le petit commentaire que je voudrais...
I want to put vice chancellors in trouble, trouble. She wants to rescue them. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have no intention of rescuing the Vice Chancellors, but I just wish to comment on the issue of curriculum. As we talk of curricular reforms, one of the challenges the universities are still faced with, at one point we want to produce these practitioners, we say we are missing. At the same time, we also have to prepare some students to go into these highly specialized areas. One of the areas we have noted with time, as we have moved into further, I don't want to use the word dilution, but bringing on other components into the field, we've started losing out. You look for a mycologist, there's none. You look for a pure, maybe plant pathology was specialized in bacteriology, there's none. You get crop protectionists, but not those. And as universities, we still have to pay attention. And what we are doing, like in my university, when we move to master's level, we are still maintaining those highly specialized areas so that we are not. If now we are looking for a mycologist to do taxonomy, it's very difficult to get them. I can tell you that. And so universities, we have to be wary that as we are producing this other manpower we require, we should still maintain some specialization. Otherwise, even the biodiversity we are talking of, we have nobody to even catalog them for us. So I wanted to make that comment as the Vice Chancellor's journey.
Okay, that's very helpful. Vice Chancellors, you have a huge portfolio of disciplines to work with. And I believe you are here because agriculture is so important to you. And so the substance of today's discussion. How do you ensure that in the process of making a curriculum, the faculties of agriculture and their departments, one, work together with other faculties and departments. And two, you curtail the competition within the departments of agriculture, because there's often, in the formulation of a curriculum, and I remember from my own former university, Sokoine, that there's competition for which courses are going to be cut off and which are going to be retained. So there's almost a fire among the professors, and the most influential professors can maintain the courses they want.
That's right.
Now, this is a big challenge. How do you get control over that?
The training of students is, how do I say, depends, yes. Depends much more on what we think it's important for the country. We have a school which is outside the Maputo city, but this is more developed-oriented agriculture, so it doesn't compete with the institution which is in Maputo. In terms of closing courses or opening new courses, we also don't have so much influence on that because until now it depends more on the what we call framework of curriculum we develop, and we follow this one. And I don't. This is why I said I'm not a good example, because I'm not facing yet this kind of problem which are faced by other institutions. We are still in demand of graduated in agriculture, so that even if we had another 2 or 3 faculties, it would not be a problem for us.
Cette université est totalement orientée vers les métiers de l'agriculture. Et donc, au niveau de la faculté des sciences, nous avons plus de 50 ans d'expérience dans le domaine donc, de l'enseignement des sciences. Mais au début, on n'était pas orienté vers l'agriculture, on était orienté vers tout simplement les connaissances académiques. Et notre problème au départ aussi, c'était pas orienté vers l'agriculture, mais c'était de former des étudiants, des hommes et des femmes capables de prendre la relève de l'assistance technique. Parce que ce qu'il faut savoir, c'est que tout au début, notre pays était confronté à ce problème de la colonisation. Mais par la suite, avec l'évolution de l'éducation, nous avons comblé ce problème-là. Et maintenant, notre mission, c'est de développer des formations pour prendre en charge les problèmes qui se posent à la société. Et parmi les problèmes qui se posent à la société, il y a ce problème de l'autosuffisance alimentaire. Mais comment faire pour régler ce problème? Ce n'est que se tourner vers l'agriculture, parce qu'on l'a dit, l'Afrique doit nourrir l'Afrique. Et on a une assertion qui dit que quand on confie son ventre à l'extérieur, on peut toujours avoir faim. Et donc, dans la mise en place de la réforme des curricula orientée vers l'agriculture, il y a une politique qui tend à faire comprendre à l'étudiant que aujourd'hui, les problèmes qu'on doit résoudre dans nos pays, c'est ce problème interne qui est de travailler pour nous, de mettre en place des curricula pour prendre en charge la problématique de nos pays. Et parmi cela, donc, c'est pourquoi tout ce qui est tourné vers l'agriculture aujourd'hui est en train de connaître au Sénégal un développement assez fulgurant, et que ceux qui travaillent dans ce domaine-là sont conscients de ce fait-là et vont orienter tout simplement la réforme dans ce sens-là, et les étudiants comme sont en train de s'y engouffrer. Évidemment, on a un problème, c'est que toutes nos universités ont des effectifs aujourd'hui qui sont pléthoriques. Nous avons trop d'étudiants et peu d'universités, Et ce qui fait donc que la réforme, dans ce sens-là, a bonne presse. Et donc, je pense que avec ça, on pourra aller vers une nouvelle approche qui sera bénéfique pour nos pays. Mais
reorientating the lecturers to deliver this curriculum. That's number one. The other one, facilities. And when we don't have the facilities, all the facilities in the university, how can we partner with other relevant stakeholders to deliver the curriculum using their facilities?
Always being mentored by even the industry so they know what is required in there, and we don't partner that much because of other issues we had earlier that sometimes the industry does not accept, and sometimes maybe it's our fault that we don't have a program on how to partner with them. We need our lecturers to be innovative in the way they deliver the learning and training, and that requires soft skills, so we need to train them in soft skills, including pedagogy and others.
Thank you. Carrying on from there, I support the last sentence. We need to train the lecturers and at the same time mentor them the way it used to be. We teach them what to do and keep on mentoring. Then secondly, we need innovative financing. When we talk of innovative financing, it's working for us in Nigeria. We all have to sit down and think through innovative financing for whatever we need to do. It is important. Then I would like at this point to bring to the fore the fact that programs that we write up very well in the journals and books should be rewritten in brief 1-page, 2-page form to be carried forward. It is important that it is carried forward in a manner that it goes from the grassroots to the top. There is no need us talking here today and not telling anybody else what needs to be done. It's important.
To achieve real implementation of curriculum reforms, I think it's necessary to, as a university and faculty management, to give incentives to teachers. You already talked about training of teachers, but training and experience and work with curriculum development should show in salary or in career opportunities for the teachers, I think. It is necessary to achieve something. Also to give incentives to students so that they can see that if they hand in their evaluations of the courses and each semester and so on, they will get a follow-up and see what has been changed due to their views and their assessments. And to industry, the stakeholders there. So if they really want to participate in planning of curricula, of research and so on, then they should really feel that they have an impact and that they make a difference.